Welcome back, everybody, to the 503rd Legion, and today we're back with Kyle, and I am showcasing my Anakin Blue deck profile, so something a little different. I know usually I upload, actually I think exclusively, I've uploaded villainy deck profiles on the channel before, but I'm really enjoying Anakin Skywalker, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, obviously. I know that's like not a unique thing to say, but Anakin's saga was just such an incredible, I just loved everything about it, and the character himself is just incredible. So enough on that. I'd like to go ahead and go dig into the deck profile and kind of showcase you guys what I'm working with and kind of what I've come to fruition with to be the ideal version of Anakin for me, at least that I've experienced. But I do go back and forth on a lot of the cards in this list. So if you guys have any suggestions or anything along those lines, just let me know, and I can definitely reevaluate the deck profile and test some new card tech choices and see how it goes. So yeah, before I get started, please like and subscribe, leave some comments on the video, whatever you can do to help the channel out. It's really appreciated. We kind of took a bit of a hiatus, quote unquote, an involuntary hiatus due to the holidays, but we're back now. And hopefully we'll have some content for you guys coming up soon that is not deck profiles. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to move Anakin and the Crystal City over here, side deck off to the side, and we'll go ahead and get started. So as you can see, the first card in the list, 3 copies of Kuel. This is the card I go back and forth on the most in the entire list. This card I interchange with the droids, R2-D2 and C-3PO, all the time. Right now in the meta, I actually think the droids are better, but I just can't bring myself to play them because this is just such a better card, because this draws you a card immediately on attack, has Restore 1, decent booty, and it has 2 power, so it trades up for a lot more things with Anakin's ability compared to the droids. So the difference between this and the droids is the droids have incredible survivability and still trade for things with 3 toughness pretty darn frequently. So that's why I think the droids are better. But in terms of building card advantage, I think Kuel is far and away the superior card. But right now, especially in this deck, especially on the draw, I much prefer the droids over Kuel because they still trade up for units because they become 3/4s when they're attacking, and they take out everything with 3 health. Kuel trades with more cards, but a lot of the time in those early turns, not a lot of things have 4 health unless they're also playing the droids. But if they're playing the droids, they're not trading with Kuel. So that's why I think the droids in this slot are actually a little bit better. But Kuel, in terms of building resources and resource advantage, I think is just the superior card in general. So this is the card I go back and forth on the most in the entire list. But let me guys know what you think with comparing Kuel to the droids. Next card, 3 copies of Sabine Wren, Explosives Artist. So just an overall good opening card. Trades up for 5 health units. So this is the card that's cost the least that trades up the most with Anakin's ability. So just a solid unit. Sometimes get a little ping damage on the base if you don't need to deal that damage to the unit. So it's nice. Good card. I'm not super high on it, but obviously in Anakin it's pretty good. 3 copies of Yoda, one of my favorite cards to play in Blue-Red Hero. Restore 2 when defeated, choosing a number of players, they each draw a card. It's a 2/4. When Anakin boosted, it becomes a 4/4, so it trades up for stuff and restores 2, so it negates the cost of using Anakin's ability to boost your stuff and trade into other units. So it's basically a 4/4 on attack, and then when it dies, it draws you a card. So it cycles itself, restores 2 if you don't use Anakin's ability, or just is a flat cost trading into 4/4s, or trading into 4 health units. So Yoda's a good card. 3 copies of Village Protectors. This card's pretty self-explanatory. Shielded Sentinel is just insane. And then Anakin boosted into a 4/2 attacking, and you just get rid of the shield because it negates all the damage. So Village Protectors is just a good card. Sentinels and blue decks are a good pair. So 1 copy of Tech, just for smuggle options, as well as smuggling out your stuff that you had to resource if you drew poorly later on. Also, big booty with 5 health and trades up into 4 health, so it's pretty good. 2 copies of Cassian to Andor, Rebellions Are Built on Hope. He's a 3/5 with Smuggle that when played using Smuggle, you ready this unit so he can immediately trade with 5 health stuff because you're boosting him with Anakin. So these cards out of the Smuggle zone are really good. Cassian a lot of the times just like comes out of the Smuggle zone and causes lethal because people don't expect 3 damage out of nowhere. So Cassian's a good card. I don't think I would play 3 copies of it. I think that might be a little cloggy because I don't really want to play this on like turn 3 because I want to be playing my other 3 drops. But like smuggling this out, having it ready, and then attacking for 3 out of nowhere is pretty good. So I like it. 2 copies of Kanan Jarrus, Revealed Jedi. More healing that you can provide for your base. Discards from your opponent if you get into those long grind games with control decks, and it has 5 health. So just a good card. You can also put lightsabers on him. 2 copies of K2SO. Love this guy. Rogue One's one of my favorite Star Wars movies overall. So just his death scene's pretty iconic, pretty well performed actually. And this card in the game is just like cracked. So Overwhelm when defeated, deal 3 to a base or discard a card from player's hand. So it features the hand destruction like you can do with Force Throw, or it just deals more damage to the base, which allows for easier lethal swings. So K2 is just really good. 2 copies of Poe Dameron. Poe Dameron's insane. 6/6 for 5 is already just like overstated, and then he has his discard effect that can deal 2 damage to a unit or base, defeat an upgrade, or an opponent discards a card from their hand. Yeah, I mean, Poe's crazy. Like, this card, as soon as it hits the board, like, they need to have an answer for it, or it's going to cause them a lot of problems. So, Poe's, yeah, very, very good. 1 copy of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Sentinel 4/6, when defeated, give 2 experience to a unit. If it's forcing to draw a card. Obi-Wan, surprisingly, doesn't come up as much as you would think. Like, I've cut this down to 1 copy from 3 in my initial list. And it's just like, a lot of times just clogs up your hand, or you don't want to play it because you want to play 2 like smaller units that trade up into things. Like, Obi-Wan's a good card, a very, very good card, don't get me wrong, but yeah, I've just found myself like clogging with this card or bricking on this card too often, so I need to cut down the frequency in which I see it, which is cutting it down to 1 copy. Like, even 2 seem to be too much in testing, so I've been happy with 1 copy. But this guy, we're definitely playing 3 copies of Luke Skywalker. This is the best card in the game. It's just straight up the best card in the game. As a standalone unit, I think this is the best card. Restore 3 when played, give it an immediate -3/-3, or if a friendly unit was defeated this phase, give it -6/-6 instead. Yeah, Luke's insane. It's another one of those cards that it hits the board, they need to answer it, or it's going to cause a lot of problems. 2 copies of Anakin's Interceptor. I like this card. When you're down on life, it becomes a 4/3 that trades up into a 6/3, so it deals with a lot of those heftier space units. And it's just another 2-drop, which is with good stats, so I like it. 3 copies of Restored Arc 170, a non-unique unit with Restore 1 that's also a 2/3 in space, so it's an early game play as well as like, yeah, I mean, this card's just good. Like, it negates half of the damage you deal yourself when you use the Anakin ability, so that's always nice. And then, yeah, the Restore trigger is just nice for those long games. 1 copy of Red 3, Unstoppable. Raid 1, each friendly heroic unit gains Raid 1. I like 1 copy of this. 2 or 3 seem to be too much, but boosting all of your stuff is nice. Boosting Anakin by 1 damage, even though he's doing a lot already, is also nice. 2 copies of Concord Dawn Interceptors. Sentinel, this unit gets +2/+0 while defending. It's a 1/4, so you can make it, it's always a 3/4 when defending, or you can make it attack as a 3/4, which is nice. Yeah, this card's good. Probably the best Sentinel in space. 2 copies of Razor Crest. Reliable gunship. Gets your upgrades back from the discard pile when played. Has Restore 2. 3/4 in space. Good card. 1 copy of Redemption. I like this at 1 copy. A lot of lists like don't play this, but I think healing to 8 damage for any number of units, like healing damage from Anakin is insane. As well as this is just like a big Sentinel in space, right? So this is a good card. Yeah, you just need more late game stuff, but you don't want to be playing like Crate Dragon and whatnot because Crate Dragon just gets eliminated pretty dang quick. but we have Crate Dragon in the sideboard, so he can come in those control games, and this is pretty good for those mid-range and control matchups. And if you play this into an aggro matchup, it's usually like a game-changing, game-warping, game-winning play. So it's a good card. 3 copies of Force Throw. We are a heroic blue deck, so we're doing a lot of like hand rip discard stuff. Force Throw is one of the best cards for doing that because we play a lot of force units, so we're dealing damage to their units as well. I want to take credit for this card actually. Open Fire is a card that I've always liked, and when I first built Anakin very early into the release of set 3, like I was playing 2 copies of Open Fire because Anakin's problem is on the draw, the deck feels like it sucks if the opponent knows how to play against you and is just defeating your units. So sometimes if you just need to remove a problematic unit that's like gonna kill the stuff that you're trying to play, you just open fire it and ditch it. So also having more removal is like a big benefit of playing blue-red heroes. So yeah, open fire is a very strong card, and I just like having that early game removal. 1 copy of Fell the Dragon and 2 copies of Takedown. Again, we're in blue-red hero, so we're trying to focus a lot on removal aspects. And we really want to make sure that we're controlling the board so our units can trade up into the stuff that they play later on, or that we can get rid of those bigger units that are causing problems. So Takedown right now is like a staple against like Sabine decks because Sabine's annoying as heck. 1 copies of Rival's Fall. This is just nice to like take out those control leaders that try to deploy and cause you problems late in the game, like Anakin Blue, Emperor Palpatine, other Anakins, Yoda. Like, this card's just good. 2 copies of Jedi Lightsaber and 3 copies of Perilous Position. These are the upgrades you're playing in the deck. 3 lightsabers appeared to be too many. 3 Perilous Position in this deck is insane because it benefits the Overwhelm game plan with Anakin, as well as just like exhaust enemy leaders, which is nice. Yeah, so these cards seem to be the right ratios for me. I was playing cards like Bravado and such with the lightsabers and playing 3 lightsabers to just focus on like Anakin punching, but like a lot of times if you get hit with a Rival's Fall, none of that matters, and you just like set up your hand to do a lot of damage and then you're not able to do what you were setting up. So that really sucks. Or if they're like able to, if Fennec is able to like ambush Surprise Strike into Anakin and deal 7 damage out of the blue, it's just like super sucks. So we need to reduce like the redundancy of cards like Jedi Lightsaber, because when Anakin gets killed immediately, this card becomes significantly worse because you really do want to hold these to slap them on Anakin. And Bravado becomes terrible when Anakin's been deployed and killed immediately. So yeah, we really want to reduce redundancy on cards like that and just try to focus on like having a good blue-red hero game plan. Okay, so that'll do it for the main board. Should be 50 cards. Next, on to the side deck. We have 1 copy of Concordant Interceptors, just the 3rd one to round out the playset. Sentinel in Space is really good in a Django Tarkin Town. This card's like a problem for them to deal with. It's just really good. 2 copies of Obi-Wan's Aether Sprite. This card's just a really good space unit. Deals a lot of, like, this card alone deals with a lot of like other space stuff because it's dealing 2 damage. And you can boost it with Anakin and trade in for 6. So this is like really good into cards like Relentless. Not so much in Devastator. Devastator's just kind of a problem on its own, so you kind of want to deal with Devastator in other ways. But this card hits Relentless pretty darn good, or trades into like other like just strong spaces like Ruthless Raider. This trades well into Ruthless Raider, so can't be removed by a lot either. Like, it doesn't get Takedown, it doesn't get Fell the Dragon. It's a good card. 2 copies of Crate Dragon. This card's insane. In these like late game control matchups, you really want to play this. Against like Ray Tarkin Town, you really want to play this. Against like Iden, you really want to play this. You just need to deal that damage, and a 10-10 overall is like no slouch, obviously. Like, this card is super hard to deal with. 3 copies of Pillage. Hand Destruction. It's just kind of like going with the game plan of what we're trying to do against those like mid-range or aggro decks. We're just trying to rip their hand apart so they can't kill us as fast as they want to. So ruining those cards, like ruining those decks game plan because they're not like super focusing on card draw or like resource advantage is like super impactful. So we're maximizing ourselves on Pillage and Force Throws into those matchups, which is really nice. And then 2 copies of Confiscate. I think this card is just good. Like, deals with Darksaber on Sabine, deals with Lightsabers, deals with weird like perilous positions and stuff. So if they perilous position your Anakin, you can get rid of that. Yeah, card's just good right now. At least I like it anyway. But anyway, that is it for the deck profile. Let me guys know what you think. Give me some suggestions. I'm not nearly as experienced with Blue-Red Hero or this deck in general compared to like Palpatine, obviously, or like Villainy decks. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, if you have any suggestions for me, they'd be much appreciated. I probably won't have a deck link in this video description. I can probably get that added later on, but if you don't know, like the deck builder database is being like kind of wacky lately, so it's just hard to get images to upload onto the video. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and let me know any suggestions you may have. Thanks again. May the Force be with you.